questions?
Yes. Honourable Leader of the Opposition, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following private question addressed to the Honourable Minister of Health and Wellness, whether in regard to the death of patients HC and TS, which occurred on 9th March 2025 at the Victoria Hospital and on 11th March 2025 at the Sir Anerood Jugnauth Hospital, respectively, and having both undergone prior surgical interventions at the New Cancer Hospital, he will state if any inquiry has been carried out thereinto, and if so, indicate the outcome thereof in each case. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker,
Yes, Minister.
allow me at the very outset to convey my deepest sympathy to the bereaved families. I'm informed that patient HC was referred from Jawaharlal Nehru Hospital to National Cancer Center. Madam Speaker, I have the full medical record for the patient, but as it is confidential information and without the patient's written approval, in this case, the relatives' written consent, I cannot disclose same today in Parliament. Madam Speaker, with regard to patient TS, was referred from SSR National Hospital on 17th February 2025. I cannot again, Madam Speaker, state the medical history of the patient and the treatment received without the relatives' written consent. I wish to inform the House that in both cases, preliminary investigations have been carried out and there is no evidence of medical negligence. They were extremely complicated cases. Nevertheless, the newly constituted Medical Negligence Committee will review both cases. Madam Speaker, upon my assumption of office, I took note that there were 30 outstanding cases of alleged medical negligence which required immediate attention. My ministry is currently carrying out an audit of these cases, and to date 15 cases have already been audited. These 2 cases will also be audited in due course. In fact, I noted that the procedures which were put in place earlier were very lengthy, resulting in significant delays in the resolution of such cases. There has been a growing dissatisfaction among members of public, with several complaints expressing their frustration and dissatisfaction on the prolonged time taken for conclusion of investigation which spans over years. In order to address these shortcomings, I have reviewed all procedures and have already set up the new Medical Negligence Committee. The Medical Negligence Committee will be chaired by Mrs. Veerapan, Senior Advisor at my ministry, and will comprise the following members: Dr. Babade, Senior Advisor; Dr. Gejadar, Senior Advisor; a representative of Attorney General's Office; a manager, Human Resources Hospital Services, and consultant specialists in relevant field will be co-opted as and when required. For each case of suspected medical negligence, a team will be appointed by Director of Health Services for Hospital Services, comprising a regional health director from a hospital other than the one where negligence is alleged to have occurred, and a consultant in charge in relevant specialty from a hospital other than the one where negligence is alleged to have occurred. In order to ensure prompt action, the team will collect all necessary information and submit a report to the MNC within 48 hours. The MNC will have the power to convene any officers concerned, and the complainant for further explanation are required. The MNC will submit its report to Senior Executive of my ministry with its recommendation for further action within 1 month of receipt of the preliminary report. Appropriate actions in line with the PSC regulations will be taken where required. In addition, the following measures are being introduced to improve the patient safety in our healthcare system. Weekly mortality meetings will be chaired by the regional health directors to review all deaths reported in hospitals, identify preventable causes, and address lapses in care. Monthly reports will be submitted to Director of Health Services for follow-up, and clinical auditing will be introduced across all health regions to identify errors with a view to reducing medical negligence. In the same line, healthcare providers will be trained in auditing, and findings will be incorporated into the continuing professional development program. Monthly audit reports will be submitted to regional health directors to track progress and ensure continuous improvement in care. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that National Cancer Hospital is equipped with 4 surgical operation theatres, but no human resource planning has been carried out to have the services of even a single oncological surgeon. Because of that, we are having collaboration of foreign teams, especially from India, to carry out surgeries of complex cases of cancer. The National Cancer Center was inaugurated last year on 8th May 2024, and equipments lie idle, locked up in rooms in the center. In addition, consumables has already expired. After a site visit I effected immediately after taking office, I gave instructions for all equipment to be installed and surgeries to be carried out promptly. As at now, 62 surgeries regarding cancer have been conducted. As from 7 February 2025 to 12 surgeries were conducted by foreign surgeon and 50 conducted by local team. Unfortunately, there have been 2 deaths. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that pancreatic head cancer is a type of pancreatic cancer that arises in the head, rightmost part of the pancreas, which is near the duodenum. It is the most common location for pancreatic cancer and unfortunately carries a high mortality rate. Median survival is often 6 to 12 months or less without treatment. The mortality is high as it is often diagnosed late, as early symptoms such as jaundice, weight loss, abdominal pain or vague. The tumor is aggressive and fast spreading, especially to nearby vessels and lymph nodes. Response to chemotherapy and radiation is limited compared to other cancers. Overall survival rate is less than 10%. Cholangiocarcinoma is a bile duct cancer and has a generally poor prognosis, largely due to its often late diagnosis and aggressive nature. Prognosis depends on factors such as tumor location, stage at diagnosis, and whether surgical resection is possible. Median survival 6 to 12 months. Depending on response to chemotherapy, survival rate is less than 5%. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the medical team. Despite all the risk involved in complex cases in performance of their duties, I wish to inform the House that Dr. D, Senior Consultant and Head of Minimal Access Oncology Survey, Department of Surgical Oncology, Sparse Hospitals, Bengaluru, India, performed the surgery. He is known to be an efficient and well-established surgical oncologist with a wide experience in performing several oncology surgeries. I would like to thank the medical team and despite all risks involved in complex cases, I wish to inform that another Mauritian doctor was also involved in the operation. He is also fully qualified and he has conducted a series of surgical operations in our country. And I would like to thank both of them for the work that they had done. Unfortunately, 2 deaths has occurred. For this, we are extremely sorry.
Thank you, Minister. Leader of the Opposition. Supplementary question.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I also wish to convey my deepest condolences to the bereaved family. This is a very serious issue, Madam Speaker. May I ask the Honourable Minister to confirm whether the ICU at the new cancer hospital is operational or whether patients after undergoing surgery have to be transferred to other hospitals for post-surgery monitoring?
Madam Speaker, this is a fact that we do not have an ICU as at now in the new cancer hospital. Before opening any hospital, it should have been the duty of the then government to take cognizance of the fact that this is a cancer hospital. Nothing was done. And secondly, Madam Speaker, we have hundreds of people, hundreds of patients they are queuing up. They are queuing up hundreds of patients and in order to undergo such treatment. And it is extremely impossible for any government to send all those cancer patients to India. Extremely impossible. And that is the reason why we have started the surgical operation, keeping in mind that in Flag Hospital we have got a modern, a complex ICU where patients are sent, and also at Victoria Hospital. It is a fact. Everybody should understand that this was in all for that hospital was open, but in fact there was nothing, not the least equipment which was in use. And thanks to this government, and thanks at least to our Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, they have their eyes on that hospital, and we are doing our utmost best. Even the PET scan to be on, let us say, within a month or so.
Thank you, Minister.
He has
Will
said
you
what...
please, one moment. This is a very serious matter. I don't think we should joke too much. We understand what the Minister said. We also understand what he said about the past government. Let the Honourable Leader of the Opposition carry on with his supplementary questions. You can also ask supplementary questions. Please.
Madam Speaker, he is now the Minister.
Yes.
He should have taken the right
Don't
decisions.
say he.
Will he agree?
Don't say he.
The Honourable Minister, will he agree that this procedure is not only problematic, Madam Speaker, but it is dangerous and catastrophic?
Madam Speaker, when 62 surgical oncological operations have been undertaken, unfortunately, as I told you, there have been 2 deaths. What should the government have done? So we don't have the ICU. In fact, we are in the months to come, you will be having a modern ICU in that hospital. There was no other way than to start the operation. I can't allow patients to die without being attended medically.
Thank you.
Will he confirm that patient TS, after his surgical intervention, which was a very complex intervention, was transferred from the new cancer hospital to Sage Hospital at Flak, which is from 45 minutes to 1 hour away, thereby exposing that patient to complication, infections, and life-threatening conditions, Madam Speaker?
Be short and sweet and direct in your answer,
Yes.
please.
It was in the patient himself expressed the wish that he be operated. He expressed the wish, and we had to do it. And as I told you, in Mauritius, we have got one modern intensive care unit that is found at Flak. Madam Speaker, I have to be short. Yes, the House should know that my ministry, we need, that is governed, we have got 2.2 billion rupees of debt they have left. How can you expect us overnight to start a new intensive care unit? We haven't paid 575 million rupees for the COVID, though they were charging 2 rupees per litres of petrol. That tax they have taken, but that money they haven't paid. They are owing almost 1.2 billion rupees as overtime to those workers, to those medical and paramedical workers who are working in the hospital. Despite all these constraints, I can say thank you all the paramedical and medical staff.
Is the Honourable Minister aware that that patient sent a mail to his ministry expressing his apprehensions of being operated in Mauritius because he had been in front of a medical board whereby they had approved that he be operated abroad, Madam Speaker?
Yes, Minister.
Madam Speaker, normally there is a board comprising of 3 medical experts. They take all cases one by one. They take, and all cases are dealt by them, and that board decides whether the patient is fit to travel or not. And there are other aspects that take into consideration. But let me remind the Honourable Member, almost 4 to 5 cases are sent to India almost every week, which is itself something extraordinary, which was not there in the past. If this would have been referred by the medical team, definitely we would have taken the decision to send him abroad.
Okay.
So he is aware of the mail that was sent on the 20th of February to his ministry by that patient. Can you also confirm whether the other patient, HC, was also, after his operation, was transferred to Victoria Hospital for post-surgery monitoring, and that patient passed away 2 days later?
I have already mentioned in the beginning, a National Cancer Hospital was almost naked when you took over. And I couldn't have left patients to die without being treated. That would have been a crime according to law of this country. And we had to save lives. And the member, he didn't tell the House. He doesn't tell the House that patient, he expressed his wish to be operated by a foreign doctor. And in fact, his wish was fulfilled. But unfortunately, as I told you, that was pancreatic cancer. I am not a doctor. But everybody knows we have to speak the truth, nothing but the truth. It's almost impossible for survival. But we did our best because there is hope so long as there is life.
Yes, one moment. He caught my eye. Mr. Dr. Kumar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
One moment. He already asked for the floor.
I'm sure may the Honourable Minister of Health confirm to the House and inform the House that the percentage of complication of such high-risk surgery, big pancreatic surgery or colorectomy, is more than 10%. And in this case, it's 2 out of 52, which is only 3%. And we have to be grateful to the surgeons who came from India and not make political mileage on the dead bodies.
Madam Speaker, I have just mentioned, it's true, 2 cases out of 60. So 2 is too much, but still we have to thank our doctors and the medical team for the work that they are performing. And I don't want to be taken wrong. If you look at all the hospitals in the country, the percentage of death, I'm sorry to say so, is higher than what it is in National Cancer Hospital. I'm sorry to have used this language.
Of course. Yes, your next question.
Yeah, can the Honourable Minister inform the House whether all the foreign doctors were granted temporary registration under the Medical Council Act? And if so, can he confirm whether the necessary documentation were issued?
Madam Speaker, I have to look into the matter, because normally the procedures are done by the staff of my ministry, by the officers concerned. But one thing I can tell you, yes. The answer I'm getting is yes. And again, one thing I'll say, it is important we should not impute motives on foreign friends who are coming to serve our country. Because they don't take money. They only take, at times, most of them, they take the travel, and then we give them accommodation and almost one dinner, that is all. And they are performing miracles in our country. We have to be redevable envers them.
Thank you. Yes,
If he says so, will he table the necessary documentation with regard to...
I don't see the point.
Yeah, I'm asking him whether he will table.
What is it? I couldn't get
Whether
it.
you will table...
Whether he will table...
Whether you will table the documentation regarding his last question about foreign doctors.
Madam Speaker,
there's nothing
Madam
to
Speaker,
hide?
yes, I don't have anything to hide, but as the procedure is, I have to get the clearance from the State Law Office.
Of course.
At least I get advice. But I would like to ask the leader of the opposition. He should have apologized to the House for the incompetence of the former Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, he cannot ask me question. I ask him question now.
What can I do? I mean...
Madam Speaker, is he aware that one of the doctors who performed surgery at the new cancer hospital did not have the necessary authorization from the Medical Council?
I have just mentioned that I'm going to ask the officers, because this work is done by the officers of my ministry with the doctors. I have to ask, but again I would like to say that I don't have anything against the doctors who are coming voluntarily, most of them, to perform surgical operations in Mauritius. If such types of questions, simple questions, start cropping up, that will deter them from coming to Mauritius, because they are serving our nation. Don't forget about it.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition, it's just you have to put in the balance what is more important. You see what I mean? Yeah, what is more important, yes.
Now, given the serious concerns regarding patient safety at the new cancer hospital and the recent death that I've mentioned, would the ministry support the setting up of a fact-finding committee chaired by an independent person to look into those cases?
I find it very strange, because the member at that time when dozens of them passed away without food, shelter and without basic necessities, they did not seek it fit to condemn those actions. Today, he wants a fact-finding committee to be set up. I have already told you the preliminary report which was submitted to me. Unfortunately, I can't read it out because of certain things which are very secret. According to the preliminary report, everything was done well to the satisfaction of my ministry and the doctors. But despite it, we have submitted to the negligence committee and they will look at it.
Yes, I was going to say there's a medical council with a committee to do this kind of investigation already by law. Yes, Mr. Duval.
May I ask the Minister, he has mentioned the backlog of cases. 15 cases so far audited. You have mentioned the audit of cases of alleged medical negligences. Can I ask the Minister, in view of the backlog, especially cases that occurred during COVID period, which were not properly looked into, is the Minister prepared to bring to Parliament an amendment to law for the extension of the limitation to bring a claim against a doctor or the state for medical negligence, or any other medical practitioner, which is 2 years?
You can't ask that of the minister because it doesn't concern just his ministry. It concerns everybody.
May I rephrase? Is government prepared to review the limitation period, which is only 2 years, and in many cases is unsatisfactory in view of the backlog?
I get the feeling...
You don't need to answer that. The Attorney General in due course will address this issue. Okay? This is an overall question. Doesn't concern... I am saying again... Please sit down. I am talking. I am saying again that you cannot ask him for his ministry because claims against government come on any sort of subject. So you cannot ask him to give you that answer. But I'm sure he's noted, and maybe government has noted, and this question may be thrashed out at one point. I have a few minutes left only. Yes, your last question.
Now, can I ask the Honourable Minister to confirm to this House whether those patients who had undergone surgery at the new cancer hospital had to undergo multiple reoperations due to complications related to the first surgery?
Madam Speaker, I mentioned 62 cases. If in 1 or 2 cases, I don't know, but the answer I am receiving is no, they didn't have to go all types of, multiple types of intervention, that is not the case.
But even so, I mean, it's a medical issue. It's a medical issue and not a political issue. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much, everybody.